Hello and welcome to my January 2025 reading log. For 2025, I am really pushing myself to try and really get back properly into reading and to try and hold myself slightly accountable. I do plan on trying to do one of these every month. I'm not sure yet if every month I will post it. They'll definitely go up for members at least, but I'm not sure just yet how often I'll actually publicly post each one, so do check out my members if you're interested in all of them. In 2024, I really struggled with reading. I was so busy with work and personal stuff, and reading, unfortunately, I just really struggled to do. So this year, I'm trying to really hold myself accountable, hence the reading logs. So you might not know if you're not in the Dudette Discord server, but we have themed reads for every month, and we also have a bingo card with prompts to go alongside it. Last year, I did not manage to complete a single bingo card, but this year, I'm going to really try my hardest to do a bit better with them. At least try and get reading into the themes. I'll put a little list up on screen for you to see the sort of themes we have. If you're interested in joining them, do feel free to join the server. So in January, the theme was Volume 1's. First month of the year, try and clear down some of those Volume 1's you have not yet read. The intention behind these themed reading months is not to get you to buy, instead to get you to read what you already have. Now, people do often decide to buy stuff to fit the themes. That is obviously welcome, but that is not the intention. The intention is to try and get you reading, get you into your TBR, get read what you got. So a good chunk of this stack is Volume 1's, and I'm very excited to go through them with you. If you hear any jingling, I'm so sorry. It's my cats behind me playing with a toy. We're going to go through these alphabetically, so first on top we have Barbarian's Bride Volume 1. I thought this was fine. General premise is there are two warring armies, and one side is considered like barbarians, and they kidnap one of the knights from the other army. I forgot the word, knight. They kidnap one of the knights, and it's kind of tradition in this barbarian army that to kidnap a woman from the opposing side and take them as your bride. Now, this knight has been raised to believe that the barbarians are, as it says, barbarians. They are terrible people who have no form of culture. And she is slowly learning that is not actually quite the case. They're actually kind of nice, though they did still kidnap her. It was an okay read. I don't think it was outstanding. I'm probably not going to rush to pick up more. Probably going to be a second-hand sale series for me. Need to skip ahead because I think there was some boobies. I did find the art style interesting. It's quite a heavy-weighted kind of style. It reminds me a bit of Dungeon Toilet and Sheepley Witch Rummy, which is kind of like a very dark, heavy line and shading. Did have some more neat moments towards the end, but I'm probably not going to rush to either recommend or pick up more. Be My Worst Nightmare. I was going to say Volume 1, but there is a lot of Volume 1's. And now my cats are fighting, but really badly. This is a volume that had been sent to me late last year from Yen Press, and I hadn't gotten around to it until January. It was a plastic wrap series. It is a BL. So far the naughtiness is quite small, but I do feel like it is something that could potentially build up. I was quite surprised at how much I quite enjoyed it. It's quite cute. Basic premise is this guy has kind of a height inferiority complex, and he has a crush on this girl, and she asks out a guy that he really doesn't like, and the guy rejects him, and he gets really annoyed that the girl he likes asked out a guy he doesn't like, and she got rejected. He was like, how is this fair? And then the other guy is actually kind of nice to him, and I think calls him cute or something like that. He looks very nice. And then that night he ends up having dreams about the other guy, like holding him, caressing him, and it's a bit strange, but actually quite cute. I am actually looking forward to getting more volumes of this, and I would recommend it. Boys Abyss 6 and 7. So I did read stuff that isn't just Volume 1's. I try, especially with the theme stuff, to not burn myself out. I do try to like alternate a bit with a few stuff that fits the theme, and then if I fancy something different, I do swap to something different. I don't force myself to stay to it if I don't feel like it. Boys Abyss is an absolute train wreck dumpster fire. It is not good, but it is, I find it quite a compelling read. I don't enjoy it. There is no good characters. Nothing good happens. It is surprisingly depressing, but I don't always necessarily feel depressed reading it. It's not nice though. I don't think it's even something I'd probably recommend, because it is, you name something bad that can happen, and it probably has happened or will happen in this. It is horrendously compelling. I can go through a volume in like 10-20 minutes though, which is concerning. So I usually try and save up some volumes because I just go through them so quickly. Business Proposal 7. I think we are on the approach to an ending for this. I think, is it 10 volumes maybe? I really loved the beginning and I binge read a bunch of earlier volumes together and I really loved it. I am unfortunately starting to feel like it's dragging a little at this point. It feels like we could have wrapped it up in this volume or the next one, but we're kind of like, we're suddenly introducing new characters and some other plot points, but they're kind of wrapping up pretty quick. So yeah, I wasn't like crazy for this volume because like especially a biggest pet peeve of mine is misunderstanding, and so much of this volume I feel could have been addressed just by people talking to each other, like the adults. Come on. I do still like it. I still think the art is really pretty, but I am kind of looking forward to this wrapping up soon-ish. Though I think if it's 10, that's 3 more. Cherry Blossoms After Winter, the first volume, and it is a new series by Inklaw. Woo! It is rather thin, and I did get this one on sale because it's slightly damaged. I'm assuming this is the damage here because I can't see anything else. But this RRP is at $16.99, which is more than an 1's press, and it is very thin. So I was a bit saddened by that. To be fair, it is about 200 pages, which is like the regular length of, say, a Viz volume of Shonen Jump or something like that, but an 1's press often can go over 300 pages, so still. I really enjoyed this one. I really did enjoy it. It is a sweet BL between two guys who kind of have awkward feelings and don't communicate it and assume the worst. They assume each other, they think the other hates the other one, but they don't, they just don't communicate. But they have vaguely tried to like talk it out a bit during this volume, and I was like so thankful. If it dragged out, I'd have lost my mind. Very cute though. Definitely look forward to more of this one. If I can find it on sale. Cross-Dressing Villainess Cecilia Sylvie Volume 6. Ugh, this series is a delight. Oh my gosh, probably a top 10 series. Definitely up there for Isekai and Villainess. Without showing too much spoiler, look at that face. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, this volume was so good. I still think the last volume might be my favourite so far, but this one was still nice, and we get to see people dressed up, and we're introducing some of the final love candidates, romance candidates, I forgot what the word is, roots maybe? And I'm so sad this released so slowly. It's another one where I'm tempted to swap to the light novels just because we got more of those so we can go past this. But also I like continuing on a medium that I've started. But for some series I don't got much choice, like looking at you, taming the final boss. Cthulhu Cat. Now this is a one-shot, so still technically a volume 1. This is by the same person that does series such as Equal Secret Society of Cat, Monster Cat, and Yokai Cat. The theme for this one is Cthulhu. I grew up in a fairly heavy D&D role-playing household, so Cthulhu is a thing I'm vaguely fairly familiar with. And in this one, the cat is Cthulhu, and someone finds the cat and adopts the cat. Look at this. Dinner time. 2 cats. Look at this, so cute. And the other one's a little strange. Oh, it's so silly! As with the other series by the same person, it follows this sort of 4-coma style in colour, and we've got this like silly little story going on. Now this one, compared to the other ones, I haven't read Monster Cats, but I've read a bunch of Evil Secret Society and Yokai Cats. Those two don't really have much of an ongoing story. It's just sort of silly skits, bits around different cats. This one does have a vague ongoing story, and it does kind of have a conclusion. I really like it because I like cats and I like silliness involving cats, and I enjoy Cthulhu, so this was a wonderful read for me. I think if you're not into cats majorly, or 4-coma, it's probably not the sort of thing for you. Interestingly, all the other series by the same person are published by 7's, yet this one is published by Dark Horse. I would love to know why, because I just find that kind of thing interesting when manga could cross between publishers. Because Swordmaster's Harem Life by the Sword for the Sword, Volume 1. This is the classic trash isekai harem bland male character. As you can tell from the cover, he is in the background. That's quite nice though. Quite often they don't even make the cover for so many volumes. Looking at you, Parallel Paradise. The first cover the male character is on is volume 20. This was a plastic wrap. It is a bit weird. It's yeah, not great really. Probably not gonna rush. I probably wouldn't recommend if you're into your trash bland male isekai with a harem of booby women who won't want to sleep with him for some reason. He's very good with a sword, with a katana, and also one of his swords actually is a booby woman, which I think is one of the 1's bones or something. It's weird. Destroy all humans, they can't be regenerated, volume 1. Still don't fully understand the title on this. Maybe I missed something, I'll explain it later on. So this is based on Magic the Gathering. If you don't know Magic the Gathering, it is a card game. I have tried my super hardest, so damn hard, in all of my life to avoid card games. Not because I necessarily dislike them or don't want to, I just can't afford another money sink. Do you know how much manga costs? And now I start picking up Miku? No. I have some friends who are big into Magic, and I find that the number one thing they like to show you is their really expensive cards. They're like, oh, look at this, it sells for this much on the aftermarket, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not getting into this. So I am super mad that this volume actually did make Magic the Gathering sound fun, and I'm very, very mad about it. I learnt more about Magic the Gathering in this than I have learnt in my entire life, and I am very, very mad about it. I learnt about different colours, about what different seasons or packs you have. There's a story to Magic the Gathering, which I did never know. And I was just so surprised that I enjoyed it, considering I did want to go into it mad, just with a general annoyance at card games. But I did actually find it kind of interesting, and Ben has been into Magic the Gathering before. He does have cards he has played, and I was talking to him about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this and white cards and black cards and da-da-da-da. And he was like, yeah, and then went and got his cards and started showing me stuff. And then I realised after like 10 minutes I was learning more about Magic, and I was like, how absolutely dare you, Benjamin, why would you do this? So the general plot is it follows a couple of school kids during the 90s, about when Magic started getting a bit bigger. And it's these two characters kind of playing Magic, and they've become friends over it, but she tries to hide it in school, he does not. So they mostly like chat about it outside of school. There's a couple like comic stores they go to play games and stuff. And also talking about when new packs come out and they're looking for particular cards and new sets and stuff. What I also really like is in the back of the volume, they do actually give you a card. Don't really understand what the card does, and I think Ben said that it's a black card because it's got a black edge, and I'm like, but it's generally got a black border anyway, that just makes it confusing. And then it's something to do with this little icon in the top corner that helps you. What I really do like is, even though you do get a Magic the Gathering card in there, you don't actually pay any more for the volume, which really surprised me. As you can see, it is still a £10.99 volume in UK pounds, so it's not been increased in cost as a large Viz signature, even though you get something as a little bonus. So if you see the volume plastic wrapped on your shelf in store, I don't believe it's really anything to do with there being naughty content on the inside. I think it is just because it has a card inside, to stop people like nicking the cards on the shelves and leaving the books. If you're a Magic fan, I have no idea if you'd enjoy this. I don't know if you'd get mad at it, but as someone who is vaguely adjacent to the scene but has avoided it at all costs, I did quite enjoy it. Annoyingly. Diary of a Female Lead. I had seen a lot of people very excited for this series, and unfortunately it did not hit for me too much. I don't really see this being anything much different or special to other series that I've read. It's about this main character who is not really interested in like love or anything like that. She just wants like good friends, really. Her mother is a quite well-known shoujo manga artist. And alongside her mother and her older brother, they kind of want to try and like get her more into romance stuff, be more girly, I think. So her older brother and brother's friend hatch a plan to try and like make her more into romance and love, I guess. Concoct a plan to teach Oi all about love using shoujo manga as their guide. Can this drab side character become an unparalleled female lead while falling for the perfect guy? And for me, reading it wasn't a bad read by any means. I don't think I disliked it, just I was reading it, it's like I don't feel anything about this that is different to other stuff that I read. It's not drawing me in, really. I don't believe it's actually very long, last time I checked, unless I'm mixing it up with another series, so if it wraps nice, I'll be quite happy. I'm going to do these two together. We have Wally and Monsters Inc. These are both one-shot Disney titles published by Tokyo Pop. A couple of times in January I found myself stuck on the sofa because the cats got on my lap and I didn't have manga to read and these were right by me, so I just decided to have a go at reading them. I must say it is definitely very weird reading series based on another media that you're quite familiar with, especially Monsters Inc. I've lost track of how many times I watched Monsters Inc. growing up, especially because it was one of my mother's favourites. If you are a fan of them, you'd probably vaguely enjoy it, however it does deviate a bit from the main plot, mostly to make it go by quicker. So for example, in Monsters Ink, there is a point in the story where they are banished to the Arctic. As you can see here, they get thrown through the door and they're like, oh no, we've been banished, just like the Yetis. And Sully's like, I'm not gonna give up, runs at the door, and it turns out they'd forgotten to turn it off, and that's it. They just skip the entire Arctic bit, they don't meet the Yeti, and yeah, that's it. Also, slightly more disappointing is that is the story. Actually, let's do one more page. That is the story. This is like clips of other Disney stories, including WALL-E. Including WALL-E, but that is it. That is it for the actual story of Monsters, Inc. How much is it in WALL-E? Yeah, that much is the story of WALL-E, and that is bonus stuff. So I'd probably say it's not worth it, especially as Tokyo Pop is a lot more pricey. I would just watch the movie, to be honest. Though maybe you want to try and get maybe a kid into manga and you want to start them off with something that's a bit more child friendly, then these would be a good option if you're happy for that. Because I feel like there isn't actually a crazy amount of kid friendly manga, especially if you're going like under the age of 10. Especially with how different cultures react to stuff, because even I'd say like the Kirby Mario Animal Crossing manga series, there is a lot of stuff in those that might be fine for kids in Japan, but I would say a parent over in the West might look at it and go, that's a bit weird, especially with how much butt stuff goes on in those. So I'd recommend this if you're trying to get, say, a kid into manga early, or if you're a massive fan of the movies maybe, but otherwise I'm not sure they're really worth it. I'm gonna do this one like this. This is Sticky Lovers by a Faku series. Yeah, it's not very good. From old country bumpkin to master swordsman, my hotshot disciples are all grown up now and they won't leave me alone, volume 1. I did surprisingly enjoy this more than I thought I would, especially because it is a kind of fantasy harem. This guy seems to be a little unaware of it though. So this guy was a master swordsman and he ends up sort of being told to go and train a bunch of knights in a big city, kingdom, somewhere nearby, I guess. And it turns out all of the big shots had previously been his disciples, all women by the way, all very not much dressed women. And they're all kind of obsessed with him, and he doesn't seem too aware, and I'm a bit more okay with harems if the guy is a bit more unaware. But there is quite an age difference between them, but he is very overpowered, and I am also quite soft on big overpowered characters. It is very silly, I'll probably see how it goes to form a proper opinion, but I did quite enjoy volume 1, but I probably again won't rush to recommend it. Apparently there's an anime coming for this. I was so shocked to see this getting an anime. I guess maybe that's why it got an English print. Heroine Saint? No, I'm an all-works maid and proud of it. This I really loved. I really loved this series. It is another one of those sort of like fairly cute, mostly female cast. And it's about someone who has been isekai'd from Japan into this world, and they are a massive fanatic when it comes to maids. So in Japan on Earth, all they wanted to do was train and become sort of a classic traditional maid. And then when they're isekai, they're like, this is an even better time, perfect opportunity for me to do that. However, they are like incredibly overpowered, they are saint, heroine, can do literally anything and everything, but they're not really aware of that. All they're aware of is they want to be able to be a maid. And they'll do anything to do that. They also think their powers are vaguely normal, but they're not at all. It's very, very silly. I enjoyed the humour a lot. It's very cute. If you're into that, I would recommend it. I'm going to keep reading, very excited to get more. Probably another one I will pick up on release. And there is a light novel, I believe from my understanding. To be fair, sometimes I just assume because of a title like that. But yes, enjoyed that one. Hotori Hot? Something? First Kiss. This is a one-shot, and not just is it a one-shot, but it is a selection of one-shots. Every chapter focuses on a different couple, and it mostly accumulates in their first kiss, hence the name of the volume. Now, first off, reading it as a selection of chapters focused on different couples reminded me initially of Lynx, which is a BL published by Sublime, and I did not enjoy Lynx, mostly because the characters look quite similar and their plot lines crossed over and I could not follow what was happening. The difference with this one is the characters do look different and they don't intersect across the chapters, and I think weirdly that's all I needed, because I enjoyed this one a lot more. It was a lot clearer to follow what was happening. Some of the male characters did look similar, which did initially confuse me before remembering that they are all separate, so it didn't matter too much. And they are fairly different-ish kind of characters as well. I did enjoy it. It would probably be a one-shot I would recommend. When it's discounted a bit, because it's a 7th season, it's a big one, so it's a bit pricey. Kagurabachi Volume 1. Now, this has had so much hype. This, I believe, from my understanding, from beginning serialization in Japan, ended up with this volume coming out in English the same year, which is fairly uncommon and unheard of for something to happen that quick. So far, with volume 1, I am not really into it yet. I think sometimes with Shonen Jump titles, I definitely need a few volumes to get into the story, but volume 1 didn't grip me so far, unfortunately. I do find that the case though, because often they're trying to introduce the characters and the plot and the premise and what's going on and what like the end goal is for it as a series. So just, yeah, I need more to really try and get into this more, I think. Kill the Villainess, a new 1's Press series that was very kindly delivered on my birthday. Thank you for the birthday present, 1's Press, Yen Press. This is an isekai villainess manhwa series title where the character has been isekai'd as this character and she's like, how do I get home? The main character has been isekai'd as a villainess into a novel that she is aware of. She knows what her fate is, she knows that she won't survive, and she's like, I don't want that to happen, I'd like to go home. What I quite liked about this one is I feel it's one of the first villainess, well, one of the few isekai I feel where they're actually trying to make some form of effort to get home. Because so many times they just kind of accept, like, okay, I'm here, alright, what happens now? I'll just live my life here, see what happens. But she is like actually trying to get home, hence the title. She has attempted to off herself a few times, hoping that maybe that'll send her back. For some reason though, mystic forces always seem to keep intervening, so she is never successful no matter what she's tried. So she starts trying to broaden her approach and approach different like types of people, like witches, oracles and the like, to try and see if they can help her. Now I do like me a good romance, so I won't object if we get some more romance elements later on in the series, but I am quite enjoying this sort of villainess trying to like just get home. It's very pretty, would recommend. Luciole Has a Dream Volume 1. Now this is another series that was very kindly sent by Yen Press, and I think I liked it. I was a bit confused of what was happening. I'm still a bit confused as to what is happening, but I think I did like it. I was very confused, especially at the start, and I don't like it when I'm confused. I did start to follow a bit more along the further in I went. It is a very, very pretty volume though. It is the same mangaka as Mr. Villain's Day Off. The general premise is this little boy was in some form of cryogenic sleep, or in a pod asleep, and this guy woke him up from the pod. His memories are a bit fuzzy, he doesn't really remember much of life before that, and also the world has kind of overgrown. We're not sure if it's been hundreds, possibly even thousands of years since a lot of humanity went into these pods. And they're kind of roaming at the moment. I don't think there's much purpose. Yeah, they're just kind of trying to search for further life more than anything. Unfortunately, this series, I believe, is on hiatus in Japan as well, so I do think there is only one volume currently, even over there. So I want to recommend it, but currently this is the only volume you can read. So I'm not sure if, like, I'd still possibly recommend it, but I'm just giving a disclaimer, a warning that this is the only one for now, and probably for a long while too. My Boyfriend is a Dog, Volume 1. Whether or not you enjoy this, I feel depends a bit on how you feel around anthropomorphic characters. Personally, I don't really care. I thought it was really cute, especially because the dog character is quite buff and grumpy looking, but his tail always gives him away, and I thought that was just super duper adorable. It is a very light-hearted, cute, adorable series. It is probably a bit pricey for how quick you can go through it, so it depends how you feel. Definitely if you see it in the sales section, I would recommend. I'm probably going to still try and pick it up when they release, because I really thought it was cute and adorable. I remember reading and being like, oh! But it is quite a simple, cozy series in my opinion. I Dad is the Queen of All VTubers Volume 1, and I hadn't realised this is by Caketinz Comics Books. And there aren't very many manga by this one. Now this series is complete of 3 volumes, not very long from my understanding, and it's about a guy who is obsessed with this VTuber, he absolutely adores her, and then he accidentally walks into his dad's office and discovers that his dad may be said VTuber, who is a very cute, peppy girl. His dad is then like, you gotta keep this a secret from both your mum and like the world and everything, and yeah, his mum is also trying to become a VTuber, but is like very crass and loud and swears a lot and is not what a lot of people associate with VTubers, so isn't doing as well. I found it quite light-hearted and funny, and I have picked up the last couple of volumes to be able to read the end of it and see what happens. My Dear Detective, Mitsuko's Case Files Volume 1. I wasn't massive on this series. Now generally I do like mystery and detective series, and I think I did actually enjoy it. Oh my gosh, I feel such mixed feelings. Almost every chapter is kind of a consolidated case. And what I found was I was reading a chapter, so I was reading a case, and then moving on and reading something else, and then coming back and reading a chapter / case and reading something else. It wasn't really one I found myself wanting to read all in one go, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to rush on picking up more volumes. I'm not sure, based on the ending of this volume, if we're going to turn into some longer running cases. That might help me get into it more. But I wasn't big on the characters and the pacing, so I'm not sure. But I did actually enjoy the cases. I enjoyed the plot and like the mystery, solving it and all that, so I don't really know why, because there are other detective mystery stuff where I've flown through them, I love them, but this one I struggled with. My Kitten is a Picky Eater, Volume 1. As a disclaimer, it starts out a bit sad. Basically, this guy discovers a little kitten out, and it is not doing well at all, in the slightest. It does not look like it's going to make it. He takes them to the vet, and the vet is like, if you can look after them and care for them and get them eating and stuff, they will probably do a lot better. And this person who's never had cats before at all and is like trying to wing and figure out what they need to do decides to try and save the cat. DLDR, he does. Just as he does, the cat is fine now. However, he really struggles to feed the cat, primarily because the reason the cat was so sick is because someone had put out some cat food and had poisoned it. So when the cat saw cat food, it associated it with making them feel not very well, and they would not eat it. And it turns into this whole him trying to figure out what foods he can get the cat to eat, because the cat needs to eat. And he ends up cooking all these different dishes and stuff, and it was just so adorable and cute seeing him doing everything he can to try and help this little kitty do a lot better. I must say, as someone who also has very picky eaters as cats, it did make me quite happy almost to read and seeing the effort that they've gone to try and get their cats to eat, as my cats really are some of the most pickiest eaters on the planet, and half the time I'll put down anything and they'll just not eat it. So I think almost like I enjoyed it a bit more in that aspect as well, because it is something that we've struggled with our cats. I don't think I've really talked about it much on YouTube or anything, but we really have struggled with getting our cats. It doesn't look like it at their sizes. We're so confused sometimes at how big they've managed to get, considering how much they refuse to eat. But I did like it, but it did also get me a bit sad, but I promise you we get over that quite quickly and the cat is okay. Nagahama to be or not to be a BL one-shot. I have very mixed feelings on BL one-shots because so many of them, just for the sake of it, have smut at the end and it doesn't really feel like it fits the story. This one doesn't, which I was almost glad about because it felt like they weren't trying to shoehorn it in. It's two high schoolers who have been friends for the longest time, and they're kind of starting to try and communicate their feelings because they're like, oh yeah, we're good friends, we're bros, okay, let's just date. And I did find it quite cute. There isn't really much plot to it, I guess. Just, yeah. And so what is the plot? It's cute. Pleasant. Perfect Buddy Volume 2. This has been one of my more enjoyed BL manhwa series over the last few years. I really like this guy's like golden retriever energy. Oop, that's a naughty page, I can't show you that one. In this volume we're continuing on where we left off in Volume 1, which was on this like company office outing, and then things progress between the two characters. We get home, he struggles to not think about him, and things get smutty, very smutty at the end. Some of the angles made me very giggle. I really struggled to not laugh during some of the smutty bits because of how things were drawn, but I did still quite enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to Volume 3. Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine, still probably one of my favourites. I absolutely adored Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine. Volume 3 I gave 10 out of 10 in terms of my rating. I love the humour, I love the power stuff, how strong they are, how they fight, the different things going on. We had some great story progression in this one, and I am just so excited for more. Every volume of this just makes me so happy to read. And it's such a pretty purple on the spine as well. Genuinely, such a good isekai. She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat, Volume 5. I'd actually pre-ordered this one on Sci-Fi because the pre-order price was like almost the same as when it drops in price after it's been out for a while. I really love She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat so much. In this volume, the two of them are trying to apartment hunt However, they're having some difficulties because a lot of agencies aren't a big fan of same-sex couples. But luckily someone is able to point them in the direction of an agency that almost specialises in that and helps them find a place, and then they move in together, and it's so freaking adorable. They also go furniture shopping, and it was just such a nice volume, and I just feel so happy seeing the characters becoming more comfortable in themselves and happy together, and yeah, so cute. Sheltering Eves Volume 1. First off, this is the same mangaka as Perfect World. And once again, they are touching upon a more, serious topic, I suppose. It's not overly light-hearted. It is about children in the system in Japan and what it's like being raised in it and navigating that, especially as they're getting older, and what happens to them once they get older while in the system. How will they be phased out? What happens to them? I'm not sure if that's the right phrasing though. Apologies if that is the case. So these are kind of our main characters. This girl here has been in the system, I think, for a few years now due to abuse from her mother, and she is now like 16, 15. As the characters only have a year left before they are legally required to leave the home, and they must pack a lot of growing up into a short amount of time. So there's a lot about the characters. They're trying to juggle both schoolwork as well as working to save up money, because what happens when they have to move out? They'll need a place, how do they afford that? Probably going to say look up some warnings for this one, because there are quite a few things that happen that aren't the jolliest or the nicest. So just be aware of all that before going into it if you decide to read it yourself. Sketchy Volume 1. I've had this for a while. I picked it up, I think, in a Travelling Man's sale, and I quite enjoyed it. It is about I'm going to say middle-aged, but I'm not sure if she's middle-aged. Watching her 30s pass by. Okay, not middle-aged. I refuse to accept 30s and middle-aged as I'm on the approach. So this character is seeing all her friends in big, high fancy jobs, getting married, kids, all that kind of jazz, and she's working in a video store and is like, what am I doing? And one day when she's walking home, she catches some kids skateboarding and is kind of suddenly smitten with the whole sort of world of skateboarding and decides to try and take it up themselves and starts attending lessons. Also alongside her, there are a few other characters who, through their own means, end up deciding to try and approach skateboarding, and we end the volume with all of these characters at the same lesson, I guess, learning to skateboard together. I was kind of surprised because sometimes I have mixed feelings on these kind of series, which is very like serious life. There is some sadness, there is some joy. It very much depends on sometimes the mood I'm in, on how much I enjoy them. But it caught me on a good day and I did quite enjoy it. I have ordered the rest of the volumes to get me up to date. I think that's like 4 or 5. It is interesting though that on the back is a series that Kodansha have said is a josei, but it is actually a seinen. But Kodansha have done that a few times. There are a few series where they miscategorize them because they view demographics as genres, I guess, as opposed to not, which is annoying. Because if the publishers get it wrong, then obviously it means that consumers are going to get it wrong, because why would the publisher get it wrong? Would recommend. Also, the volumes are wonderfully neon coloured, and I am right simp problem love neon coloured rainbow volumes. Oh, Solo Leveling Volume 10. I just love solo leveling. I love the overpoweredness. I love the fights. 11 has just come out, so I need to order that as well. Oh, that was him giving the finger. That's naughty. I don't really know what else to say. Solo Leveling, very popular. Love it. Spoil Me Please Hinamori-san Volume 1. This is a high school GL. I didn't like it. So this character here with the dark hair is sort of like the perfect student. High grades, works very well, very polite, does all the extracurriculars, and this character ends up seeing like her real side where she just wants to be spoiled and like told she's done good, patted on the head, that kind of thing. But what I really disliked was it went so far where she just came across as quite bratty, and it just annoyed me, like really annoyed me. I got really not upset, I got really mad at her, didn't like her, I didn't like the dynamic. You might enjoy the dynamic, it was not for me. A Suitable Fetish, a new steamship title. Rather enjoyed this one. Our female character is very intrigued in different types of positions and fetishes, but she really struggles to find a partner who might be interested in joining her, testing them all out. And basically she ends up trying to coerce this guy to do it, and he seems quite up for it. That's kind of the plot so far. Sweet Room Escape Volume 1. I think this actually might be like only 2 volumes long, so if I'd realised they were only 2 or 3 volumes long, I'd have probably held off reading them, but I bought so many 7's BLs in December. I was like, I'll try and get through some of these. Fortunately, I picked the ones that are really short. This is about a guy who travels a lot for work, and he kind of has a booty call in every city that he travels to, and he has wild bedroom times with them when he gets there. However, he ends up running into this guy who becomes a little smitten with him and would like to become more than just bedroom partners. But he's like, I'm not up for that, that's not what I do, I just want to go around and sleep around, I want to sleep around with everyone. But he kind of keeps appearing, popping up, wearing him down, and yeah, I did quite like it, but yes, very smutty. Read at warning. Tied to You, Volume 3. One more volume and this is complete of 4. We had lots of stuff going on in Volume 3. We had this guy being jealous, we had this guy unsure what to do, him being quite possessive, and yeah, Volume 3 was like, damn, lots of red flags going on here, and I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see how it wraps up. Oh! Tiger and Dragon, Volume 1. Another romance that didn't feel like anything too special, which sounds really dramatic, I don't mean it to be. Basically, our female character had this massive, like, crush friendship with this kid that she used to live next door to in this apartment building. Unfortunately, he had to leave the country, he moved abroad with his parents, I assume for work, I can't remember exactly. And she's like sworn to, I'm gonna wait for you to come back. Now this all happens when they're like 5 or something, they're small, they're not like grown or anything. And they get to their teens and all her friends are like, we don't believe he's even real, you should probably move on, you've not heard from him if he is real. And eventually she's like, okay, fine, I'll try moving on. And ends up trying to go on a date with this guy, I can't remember if he's like just a school friend. Oh, he's another neighbour. And then they go on the date, she comes back from the date, and guess who's come back? Yep, childhood friend has come back. And she's like, I don't know what to do because I've just decided to move on from you and I've gone on a date with him. And it's kind of like her deciding, what shall I do? It was pleasant enough, again. I didn't dislike it, just I don't think it blew me away. Trillion Game Volume 2, a series that back in 2024, Volume 1 really surprised me with how much I enjoyed it. And the same, I think, happened with Volume 2. I was a bit more ready for it because I've already read Volume 1. I keep accidentally flicking to random boobies. I have really enjoyed, like, how much this is involving programming, systems, my jam. This is fairly my jam, even though they're like taking the piss a lot of the time and it's not always necessarily 100% accurate, but I don't think it needs to be 100% accurate. It's a story. I think it's sometimes it might be boring if you keep doing that. But Volume 2 I enjoyed just as much as I enjoyed Volume 1. I can't wait for the third one. Villainess and the Hourglass Volume 5. We're getting a lot of political intrigue in this volume and I'm quite enjoying it because the revenge is starting to revenge. Characters are fleeing countries, there's like secret soldiers being moved in and out of countries. It's quite fun. I wonder how much wrap up we're going to get in Volume 6. I don't think it's actually fairly long. It is definitely complete, but I don't know how many volumes there's going to be based on the chapters, because online chapters very rarely seem to correlate into chapters you get in the book. But this is a series that I definitely felt dipped, but it is picking up. I'm enjoying it more and more with each volume currently. Wet Dream Aquarium, a one-shot. I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping it was going to be more lewd than it ended up being. This guy keeps having weird dreams surrounding this guy who looks after fish and is a big like fish aquarium fanatic. So his dreams involving him always get a bit weird with sea creatures. I think it's a one-shot where the amusement is more in the title than in the story, unfortunately. But I was hoping for such weird lewdiness, and there was not a huge amount of weird lewdiness. Though it is still a past it rep series, it does get smutty at points, it does. In case that worried you. What's Wrong with Secretary Kim Volume 6? And that is complete. That is the final volume of What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. Probably one of the few manhwa that I've actually now completed, as in especially reading. There haven't been that many yet. There's a fair few approaching an ending with a next volume or two, like Star Seekers. I think all of the Idol ones are approaching an ending in English print at least. I do think I enjoyed the ending of this one. I think it wrapped up nicely. We kind of had all our answers around their backstory, and then we kind of just started to walk towards the end. I found it a bit of a shame that we didn't really see anything from the wedding. I think she went to a dress fitting and then it seemed like they were married. I got a bit confused at that point. I liked that we had a skip forward bit and we saw them a few years later down the line with their kid and stuff. I don't know if maybe one more volume, but would I have then complained about it dragging out? I don't know. But I was happy with this one. The White Mage doesn't want to raise the hero's level, volume 1. This was awful. I mean, no, I didn't know. It just felt really weird and creepy. So this guy, I think he's isekai'd. Yeah, he's been isekai'd. And this White Mage is trying to keep him to herself because she thinks he's really cute and doesn't want others to get a hold of him. And she's trying to tempt him, so she wears this outfit, as you can see on the cover. But he is very awkward about it and shy because he's young. Okay, I can't find exactly how old he is, but yeah, she's trying to kind of keep him from raising his level, so he kind of has to keep relying on her and they can stay in a party together. But it is a bit uncomfortable to read, to be honest. I personally was like, it's really gross. So yeah, this is definitely not one I'm going to be rushing to pick up. Sale section secondhand if it's like really cheap, but it needs to be less than half price. As in, it has to be more than 50% off for me to pick it up. Wild Roses and Pretenders, another BL, another one that turns out to only be 2 volumes long, so I'm a bit bummed I didn't wait for another volume. This is a very pretty series, but it does have a lot of concerns, warnings that, in terms of the character's backstory, so I would look into it. Content warnings in case you are worried about that. This guy turns up to this guy's estate because he needs some money to be able to support his sick mother, I think. And he's like, can you pretend to be my lover to help me get out of marriage proposals, basically? And he's like, oh, okay. But he does actually start to grow feelings for him, and it's quite cute. Not outstanding, but I did still enjoy it, and it is a pretty read. But it is 2 volumes, so maybe wait till you get both if you want to read it. Yakuza and Omega, another new steamship title. I really enjoyed it, because this is just my kind of trope. I love the kind of fated mate kind of thing, and I have been really enjoying Alpha and Omega stories. Omegaverse, sorry. And it was quite fun to read a straight relationship in one, because I feel like most Omegaverse tends to be BL, often in what I've read. So it was fun to read one with a man and a woman. And things get smarty, they're fated to be together, and yeah, all that jazz. That's just up my street. Really enjoyed it. I'm not sure I'd consider it like good, if you're like, oh, is it a good read? I'm not sure it's a good read, but it's my kind of read, and there is a difference, and I'm fine with that. Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting, Volume 1, a series that Lady Moon made me pick up, and when I say made, she was literally sending me links going, here, buy this. This was super cute. It is about a guy in the Yakuza who is babysitting kind of the boss's daughter, and their relationship is just super duper adorable and sweet. There is only 5 volumes out currently from my understanding. I do have all 5, but I did only read volume 1 in January, so I will get to the rest, but it's very, very, very cute. It's another Caketinz books. Yonai Tsukihiko's Happy Hell, volume 1. One of my favourite reads of January, to be honest. I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed this one. It is about an arranged marriage between the 2 heirs of 2 different large companies. Heir of a family farm and heir to a food and holdings company. Neither of them really want to get married to each other, but they keep running into each other and spending time together, and I'm looking forward to how this trope develops. I've really enjoyed it so far though, a lot. My final reads of January were Eucharism volumes 1 to 4, and that is a complete series. What I'm really trying to do is any series I have that's a bit shorter, I'm just trying to randomly go through the shelves and be like, I'm going to read that, and I'm going to complete it, and that's what I did with this one. I saw it on the shelf and I'm like, I'm just going to read that, and I did, and I was so pleased, and it sounds really dumb and silly saying it out loud like that, but yeah. So this is a 4-volume Shoujo Beat series. I picked up the whole thing, I think, in a sale section for quite cheap. And I really, really enjoyed it. I had no idea what the plot was at all in the slightest, went in very blind, and I'm quite glad I did, because I was quite blown away by it and I enjoyed it a lot. It's about a guy in high school who writes all of these like old feudal Japan stories from the Edo period, not Edo, oh my god. And they're quite like well-known works, very, very popular, makes a lot of money from them. And he says the reason he's able to write them so realistically is because he's able to travel and view the period as if he was actually there. And then he meets someone at school who is a big fan of his works, and they almost feel like they almost know each other, like they have a connection. And then it starts to turn out that they might actually have known each other in the past, and their past selves, and we get a whole bunch of story unraveling behind what happened in the past to their past selves, what's happening in the present. Their personalities start merging, things get weird. But I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed it, but I really did, and I'd probably recommend it. There are some bits that are a bit weird, and some of the art style, I do find the chins are a bit too pointy, but I did enjoy it a lot more. And then we have my reads from January 2025. I hope you enjoyed it. I did yap on quite a bit. I really do plan to try and do one of these a month with my reads, even if it's not a huge amount. If I manage to not get through a lot, I'll still try and do it. And I am going to really try and do well with the themes in the Do That Discord server. If you're interested in joining in, there is a link found down below. As I said at the beginning, I'm not sure how many of these will end up being public, so if you do want access to all of them, check out my channel memberships. They are 99p a month. I hope you have the most wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!